Good afternoon, everyone. Leslie Myrick here, interior designer and business coach with Nancy Quinn and the Profit Insiders Academy. It's Tuesday. We need like a fancy drapery Tuesday, but that's not very alliterative. It's Horizons Tuesday. We're here with Darlene from Horizons Shades, and we're talking window treatments and craftsmanship. I love this, and how that craftsmanship and customization is the secret to scaling your business. So I'm intrigued, Darlene. Talk to me about this. How does this allow you to scale?
Well, this is going to be what adds that extra level of pizzazz to the order. It is all about dialing into what your customer really desires and really wants for their home and
Okay.
delivering. So if you are working with a client and you want to set yourself apart, you don't want to do what everybody else is going to do. You really
Yes.
want to get to that point where you're feeling the love that they're showing for a fabric or for it could be a detail like the trim or a decorative tape. And
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't even have to be just what's on the surface, the things you can see. Some of the customization is really what they don't see. It's picking that premium lining that's really going to make that drapery or other soft treatments just look so much better when you're putting together a great fabric plus a really good foundation, a really good lining on that.
I love that you
And
mentioned both of those because the tapes, the decorative things. First of all, I love that is coming back. That those trends are like I feel like the
oh,
pendulum swung to very minimal and now it's going back. But I like that you mentioned the behind the scenes stuff, the right lining and interlining, the right way that the draperies are going to be constructed and how they hang. Because we all know, and we've all heard it from a client, oh, well, why would I buy those when I can get blah, blah pre-made linen panels for $100? Like, it's not apples to apples. This is completely different with this custom approach that clients can't get everywhere else.
no, it's all the little things. It's, blind stitching. It's the, bigger double turned hems. It's
Mm-hmm.
choosing the size of your bottom hem. Maybe that's going to match some baseboard in the home. It's going with that larger header because the drapes are, 180 inches up in the air, and you really need to be able to see that header that you've picked out. So it's all those little things that customize that panel. A lot of the work that we get isn't something you can buy, at your local big box store.
Yeah.
It's going to be the really wide width drapery, or it's going to be the really tall, two-story drapery. But even if it is just the standard window, you don't want a standard treatment. You
No.
you definitely want something that's going to set your home apart. And that's what we need to deliver. When we deliver that, we end up gaining more referrals because when somebody walks into that person's home and they love what they see, they want to know, where did they get that?
Yeah.
How did they do that in their own house? So there's nothing like having something that really works. You're matching the furnishings, you're really kind of pulling into the style aesthetic of their home. And all the choices that you are going to make with that customer are going to be the ones that are going to set you apart from somebody else. And it's the key to the emotion of the sale is really finding that thing that turns that customer on.
I love that you said it that way because it's so true. Like it's those little details, those customizations, that extra attention to craftsmanship and detail that really does set you completely apart and puts you in another level as an interior designer. You know how you can charge more than like $100
Yeah,
for
yeah.
when you have designed a custom length and a custom width, and the hem at the bottom is exactly the same height as the baseboard, so it blends perfectly, and the header is the right proportion, and the hardware is the right scale for the space. You don't have this teeny little
Oh, yes.
on a big curtain. You've got something that feels like it belongs in the home. And I feel like window treatments, you probably encounter too, they're often afterthoughts, not necessarily from us as designers, but clients. They don't always see the value. They don't always understand, well, why would I, I want to spend money on my sofa and my chair, not the windows. But oh my goodness, the difference a beautifully dressed window makes, especially when you've done this little bit of extra craftsmanship and detail. You have thought through scale, proportion, color, details. You're not just taking the standard issue, oh, we always do like, 4-inch hem and this and that. But you're saying, no, like this house has 10-inch baseboards. Let's do a 10-inch color block across the bottom. Let's add trim detail. Like, you got me all excited now for doing custom window treatments.
Well, I'm always amazed though at designers who are doing a whole house and yet not bringing the window treatments in at the very beginning as part of the entire scale of the project. And why would you not do that? And make sure you have that budget allotted for that portion to finish off the room and really give it that, cherry on top that is going to make the difference. And so it's really kind of a combination of, we're moving past that minimalist phase.
Yes.
We are definitely into a more is better phase. I just had an order come in for some drapery panels, and they're literally adding what I call a wedding dress ruffle at the bottom. So there's going to be 3 feet of gathered drapery attached to the straight drapery at the bottom. And it's going to have long trim hanging off of it with an extra accent above. It's just like, let's just
that is next level
on and bringing it to the next level. And it's like, it's like the perfect dessert with all those ingredients that you love to eat. And this is just going to, they're going to want to eat up these draperies when they're done.
Yeah. So, I think we're not used to, in the past 5, 10, 15 years, seeing draperies be the focal point. They're always just like, okay, it's there. But I like this intentionality. And it doesn't have to mean that everything is formal and fussy and overdone. I mean, I'm doing a project right now where we're doing beautiful, pale sort of robin's egg blue linen drapes, but with a gorgeous embroidered tape down the leading edge. It's just that little extra that takes it from, okay, it's a plain curtain, to like, that belongs in this room. That looks like it was made for the space. And that's something that I do think is like, it's a bit of a secret weapon when you can set yourself apart like that as a designer and show like, no, we pay attention to all of this. Like, this is worth the investment to get you to that end result you desire. And you're not going to get there just by grabbing some ready-made panels that are probably too short and not lined and flimsy and sad. It is not the same thing.
No. I'm seeing a trend recently with animals. I had just noticed a zebra-based like decorative tape with little zebras. So lots of whimsy. That's what I'm seeing. It's not the heavy brocades and the overly like it looks like you're making it for a castle. This is treatments that have a lot more character, whimsy, maybe even just, make you chuckle a little bit, that they're so cute. And I grabbed a fabric we have coming up, by the way, in our latest collection. And this is just so cute.
Oh, I love animals. And that's embroidered, right?
Yes, this is an embroidery.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful fabric. And what I love is all the coordinates, that you can pull with it that are pulling out the colors. So we're seeing a lot of fun colors coming. I'm seeing a lot of different pinks, by the way. So I grabbed a few things that I thought you guys would love. But, definitely these tapes. This is like some really pretty eyelash embroidery coming. The tapes are getting wider too. Noticing lots.
I love that scale that we're getting, the chunky proportions.
Yes. So, speaking of everything getting bigger and better, but I just happened to grab a bunch of pinks because, it's still very popular. I'm assuming for a lot of little ladies' rooms, but maybe some powder rooms. and, all sort of variations of pinks. So that's, kind of coming down, the pike, I guess. And this is where staying trendy is also important as far as customization goes. You don't want those panels to look like they could have been hanging there from 1970, because what are they? They're white or off-white linen panels. You really want to make something that says, I put so much effort into this and working with my customer, and this house reflects what is the trend today, but also what's going to move forward, with some smart decisions. So that's, when I'm looking at the colorways, when I walk through the workroom, I love seeing what's coming in the door, all the fabrics, all the colors, all the designs, the beautiful, and a lot of embroidery. So we're definitely seeing a ton of embroideries and a lot of velvet coming.
I like all those things. So
Yes.
What I'm picking up on is we are not just doing the plains, which those have their place and they're beautiful. What you're seeing when it comes to more customization and craftsmanship is embroidery, textures, things with visual details, patterns, colors, things that are just getting bolder, which is right up my alley. So I'm here for this.
They're getting noticed, that's for sure. So when we're thinking of the customization, it is all about, how do I make an impact, and how does that impact have a ripple effect on my business? And when you make an impact, that's when you get the best photographs. That's when you get more press, more clicks, and more, response to what you've done with your customer. Because I'm sorry, nobody's going crazy clicking on white panels with, nothing on them.
Yeah.
That look
you're
like
absolutely right.
They could have been ready-made.
It's the beige walls of window treatments. It's the safe, you do it because you don't know what else to do. Okay, Darlene, question for you. If a designer's listening and they're like, yes, I'm in, I want to do more with window treatments, what does that look like with Horizons? Because I think of your company mostly as shades and simpler, more standard products, but I know that you have this whole range of possibilities. So if someone's like, okay, yeah, I want the 180-inch drapes with the 10-inch panel on the bottom and the trim on the leading edge, and what does that process look like to work with Horizons to do this kind of custom, very like couture work?
So we have many, many options that are already easy to use, pre-priced. You can go into the computer and place an order for custom. But when you are going beyond our menu, we do have what we call design modification. It's our team that works with our customers, our dealers, to take everything to that next level. And this is where you can dictate exactly the design that you want, with the linings you want, with the headers you want, with the trim placement where you want it to be. So if you are dreaming it up with your customer, we are going to do our best to be the workroom that is going to pull that together for you and make that dream come true. Do we say no sometimes? Yes, there are things that we have to say, this is not within our scope or scale, but it's really pretty rare, to be honest. And so we have really come a long way in evolving the capacity of this workroom and what it is we can do. And we are doing everything we can to say yes to every custom, question that we get, every custom design that's brought to us. They do need to have the details. Details are important, that they communicate with us. So it could be something as simple as exactly how many inches do you want to set that banding in off the leading edge? Or, when you're doing, let's say, I'm getting a lot of drapery, by the way, where it's fabric on both sides. So contrast lining.
Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of portieres are coming back. People are using these as room dividers, and all of those little details matter. So we need to know, how do you envision this? If you can create drawings, if there's something that is a little more complex. For instance, it might be taking that tiny decorative ribbon and creating that Greek key as an element on your shades or drapery or pillows. So all of those things are parts of what Horizons can do and accomplish for our dealers. They have to be, of course, a dealer with us to begin with.
Okay.
And then once they are ready to submit orders, or if they need customized requests, they can reach out to us. They will be assigned a sales rep, and that sales rep can help guide them what to do and who to go to and where to send the email.
So do designers become dealers, or do they work with a dealer in their area for this kind of project?
You know, I have both, or all of the above. So we do have some accounts that are designers. They're like whole home designers, or maybe they specialize more in window treatment design. They come directly to us. Others quite often go through somebody who does the measure and the install for them. So kind of like a jobber for them. And some designers really are very hands-off. All they're picking is maybe the overall concept or fabric, and then somebody else is doing everything from there, including meeting with the customer. So it's multiple layers of how they can work with us. And we work with any of that, any of the above. The biggest key is communication, though. We want to make sure that we are doing exactly what you and the customer envisioned for that project. So the more details, the better.
Love it. So when it comes to window coverings, like you've got our backs as designers. We just come to you and say, here's what we're thinking, and your team will help us make it happen. Yes.
And we have several of us on the team on the sales end that we've all been in their shoes. We've run our businesses, we've worked for design firms, and we've been the one in front of the customer helping to make these decisions. So we know what it's all about. We understand what they're up against at times, and we know what information is necessary to really make a successful custom product.
I think that's great. And I will say, local workrooms I'm finding are slowly fading away. People are retiring. There's fewer options. And that's been a struggle of mine, is finding some way to do beautiful custom window treatments without always having someone available locally. So I like that you guys are setting up for designer success. Thumbs up. Yes. As a designer myself, I'm very grateful. So if any designers watching are interested, Horizon Shades is the website, horizonshades.com. You do all the things with window coverings. Today, we were just specifically talking about customizing and draperies, but just know that Horizon really can do all of it for our designer community. So Darlene, thank you. Any final thoughts about craftsmanship and customization before we wrap up?
We are here to be your custom crafted window treatment specialist.
That's all you need to say. Love it. Thank you so much, Darlene.